Welcome. Today I'm going to introduce to you um, my recommendation for sharpening stones if you're just getting started. And the focus of this will eventually be on razor sharpening. Uh, but today I'm going to actually use these stones, which are combination stones, to sharpen a knife. And in doing so, I'm going to do a little bit of a freehand knife sharpening tutorial. Before I get to that, these are Nanawa combination stones. As you can see by the labeling, the fine stones are 5,000 and 10,000. And then the coarser stones are 400 grit and 2000 grit. You really wouldn't need 400 grit much for razor sharpening, but the 2000 grit is a very nice sized abrasive for razor sharpening. And it's because of the inclusion of the 400 grit and frankly the expense of the higher quality combination stones that I recommend that if you go down this route, you go for the slightly higher quality, and you use these stones for both your sharpening your kitchen knives and for your razors. Now, this stone, well, one advantage of the Nanawa combination stones is that they're splash and go, and I heartily recommend splash and go stones. Again, if you're just getting started, because you don't have to deal with soaking them. You don't have to deal with the aspects of the way they lose moisture as you use them. The splash and go stones, you can just control the surface very easily. So again, I recommend the higher quality stones. And so how much do I have invested in this? Well, this is there's a 5,000 and an 8,000 grit stone, and that is cheaper. This is about $100, I think. And this was on the order of $30 or $40. And the reason this is expensive is the 10K. You could easily get an 8K. There's a 5,000 and 8,000, and you could easily get that, and then get some denim, cut denim into like a three foot length or 1 meter length, something like that, and have it be about 3 inches, 75 centimeters wide, and then load it up with some of the green chromium dioxide abrasive, and use that and basically strop on that loaded strop to get your final final finish off of 8K. So I don't remember what the 5,000 and 8,000 combination stone is, but it's definitely significantly cheaper than this stone. Now, another thing that you're going to need if you're starting out is a flattening plate. Now, you don't, this happens to be an Atoma 140. It's heavily used. It's actually worn down. I keep these very clean, so they always look good. But you can see evidence of steel that wasn't cleaned out of there and has rusted. Carbon steel that has rusted. So it helps to get the abrasive out from between the diamond clusters on these things. It really helps the length to lengthen their life, but eventually they wear out. Now, the Atoma, this is an Atoma 140. You can get, there are less expensive flattening plates out there. I don't happen to know what they are, but I'm sure if you go on the forum and look for flattening plates. You can find a cheaper one. The advantage of the Atoma and the advantage of the other flattening plate that I use is that these don't stick. When you, with some of the other cheaper plates, when you go to flatten, you'll find that they stick on the stone. Now, for somebody like me who does a lot of sharpening, that matters. But you know, if you're only at this once a month or a couple times a month or once every 6 months, then it isn't going to matter. You can just deal with it. So anyway, these are the basic components of a sharpening kit. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about freehand sharpening of knives, because if you put the money into this, you ought to get more use out of it than just sharpening razors. So, and freehand sharpening really has to do with, and for today's, we won't even hit the 5,000, 10,000 today. We're only gonna, for kitchen knives, you don't need to go above 2K. So, what you want to do, freehand sharpening is where I started. Freehand sharpening is holding this angle by technique. No guide to find the angle, just holding the angle with your with your hands and your technique, and then maintaining that angle as you sharpen. And so I'm going to show you my technique for doing that in this video, and then in the next video, using these stones, we'll sharpen a razor. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about if you're starting with freehand sharpening. Let me talk a little bit about what you should get. I recommend that you start with a kitchen knife. This is a chef's knife. This is an 8-inch knife. And so I recommend that you start with a knife of this size. It's a lot easier. First of all, you have a handle that you can really grab easily. And it's actually it's a lot easier to learn to hold a sharpening angle with a larger knife than with a smaller knife. So you can also start with something like an inexpensive Japanese Nakiri. Here, I'm trying to show you the whole knife. This is a Nakiri. You can get an inexpensive one of these. I think this one is actually inexpensive, but I don't remember what the brand is. So you can get this is easy because there's really very little curves involved in holding your angle. Obviously here you're going to have to manage your angle as you go. And I haven't sharpened this knife. This is an eBay purchase. I do not recommend getting a chef's knife that has a bolster. This thing here is called a bolster. And what happens with a bolster is that as you use the knife, this area of the blade gets worn and works its way above the bolster. And for the knife to work properly, you need to be able to come down against a cutting board and come down flat. Now, you notice that's happening here, and that's because I've actually cut away. I've ground away on this bolster to allow the blade to come down flat. So don't bother with that. Just don't start with a knife that has this issue. Sharpeners hate knives with bolsters for this reason. All right, so the other thing is, don't start with a paring knife or something small. It is extremely hard, if you're learning, to learn how to hold an angle with a small knife. And if you learn as I suggest with a chef's knife, and by the way, learn with one that you don't mind ruining. If you learn with a larger knife and you get good at it, you'll see what it's like when you transfer to a small knife, but you'll have the skills to work out how to deal with the smaller size. Let's see, I'm talking more than I thought I would here. I'm going to pause while I collect my thoughts, and then I'll come back. Okay, so first up, you should understand how I mentioned with the Henkels. That's what the knife was. That's what this knife is a Henkels. Let's see if I can show you the stamp here. There you go. You can see the twins. That's a Henkels. I showed you with this knife that the way a chef's knife should work is to come down flat on the heel. And as you can see, this does not come down flat. It's okay if when it's resting on the heel, if the belly of the blade comes up, because for the most part these are used for chopping, and so a lot of people rock to chop on a cutting board. But this before we even start sharpening, we need to do a little correction here, because it comes up on the heel, and if I run back, if I'm sharpening something, I want this area to be doing the work it's supposed to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is to work, and I'm actually going to do it on the sharpening plate, on the flattening plate. I hope I haven't been saying sharpening plate. Flattening plate. On this flattening plate, oh, you can't see it, but on the flattening plate, I'm going to actually do this work on that plate first to even out, hog away some metal here, and even out this line back in this region so that this rests flat. I'll probably do the work. I'll show you a little bit of that. I probably won't show you this again. You're going to have to trust me that I got it right. And then we're going to get on to using again, primarily just this stone to sharpen this knife. All right, I have made the corrections to this knife. I did it, well, I'll show you the correction first. The main correction that I made is that let's see if we can find a way, here we go. The heel now comes down, there we go, and meets the surface flat. It meets at a flat angle instead of being up at the heel. Hang on just a sec. And then the other thing that I did was to even out the bevels on both sides. The bevel on this side was much larger than on this one, and I actually set a new bevel. We call that establishing a new bevel in knife sharpening on this side, and I'm pretty much using the whole bevel on this side. This one is actually a little bit larger than this one, so that puts the center of the edge a little bit towards that side, but I don't think that's going to make any difference. Anyway, this is dull. So let's try to find an edge here. So this is pretty much dull. I can get it to cut in the paper towards the end. I used this stone to do a majority of the work to reshape the profile at the heel. And then I used this stone, which is a Nanohone 200. I used this stone for most of the bevel work. What I have underneath is the 400 here, and we're gonna basically do most of the tutorial for knife sharpening on this stone, and then we'll finish the knife on the 2000. I have surfaced these stones. I have flattened these stones. The stones have a glaze on them when they're new, and you want to take that off. So I did that with the flattening plate on both of these. So we're basically ready to go. Let me put some water on this. Since it's a new stone, it'll probably take a little bit more water than it would after it's been sort of seasoned. But we're ready to go. All right, so I'm going to teach the burr method, and I'm going to teach using your dominant hand. If you saw my other knife sharpening video, you know that I use both hands. But this video, I'll teach you using your dominant hand. There'll be a leading edge stroke and well, both strokes will be leading edge, but one will have the edge coming towards you, and the other will have the edge going away from you. In the case where the edge comes towards you, you have the thumb on the blade and your index finger on the spine. In the case where the edge is going away from you, you have your index finger on the blade at the heel, and then your thumb on the spine. So the first thing I would recommend, I'm going to show you the strokes. First thing I would recommend is that you don't worry about sharpening, but instead you sort of learn, you just practice the strokes slowly until they feel kind of natural. And so the way to do that is to put the knife pretty much flat, and then raise it until you feel the edge or see the edge intersect with the stone. So let's see, here we go. So there's a very low angle, and you would, once you see it intersect, you know, just come up until you can really feel it solidly against the stone. You don't want to go like that. You don't want to have the edge, you know, on top of the stone, because then you're just grinding on the edge. So you need to find where you've come up and hit the bevel, right? So you have a bevel surface there. So you want to come up and hit the bevel, and then on that bevel kind of find where the edge of the apex of the edge intersects with the stone. So do that. That's how you do. That's what you do on both sides. You can sometimes see it visually. I don't think you're going to be able to see it here with my high-tech lighting, but lots of times you can sort of see, if you have a lot of water on the stone, you can sort of see how the water moves to know when the apex has touched the stone. All right, so now the strokes. I'll start with the edge coming towards you stroke. Again, we're gonna find that edge. You'll want the thumb on the blade, forefinger on the spine. You also want to get the stone to a height that allows your forearm to be above and ever so slightly angled down towards the stone. You don't want to be way above the stone, and you don't want the stone to be such that your forearm is actually parallel to the stone. If you have your forearm slightly above and angled down towards the stone, this gives you the most relaxing way to make these strokes in a repeatable fashion. And relaxation is real important for this, because you're going to be, you know, there's a lot of repetitiveness. So you want to be able to repeat very easily. Okay, getting back to the strokes. So we come up we find the bevel, we find where the edge intersects with the stone, and we want to be at an angle so that you can work the greatest amount of the bevel that you can on the stone. And then your opposite hand is always a for pressure, but also a stabilizer. So just, you know, put your opposite hand on the knife. Don't put too low. And then the basic, hang on. The basic strokes are back and forth in sections. You're working in sections. Make sure the heel is on the stone. The next section is more towards the center of the blade. The next section is more towards the toe. And notice that I moved my stabilizing / pressure hand up, and I'm trying to keep that edge intersecting. Now we get to where the knife curves. And to do this, you simply follow the curve, and to follow the curve, you're going to end up lifting. You just lift the knife until again that edge intersects, and you know, do this slowly, so that you can feel. So you'll be coming down, and there you go. So I've lifted. It's a smooth motion. So here would be what the motion looks like. So I'd be coming down, I'd be working this section, and then I'd be working this section. And as I'm coming along, I'm lifting. And to get to the real toe, to get all the way to the toe, you're lifting pretty far. And you can do this sort of thing, but most people just sort of grind in this direction, where you're going slightly this way and mostly in this direction. Okay, so that's the basic stroke in this direction, and I suggest before you think about sharpening that you try to do it slowly, and especially in this section, really feel that you can feel where the edge and the bevel are. And that we call that being locked in. So when you come up and you can feel the bevel and you can feel where the edge meets the stone, it'll feel as if you're on a little ramp if the bevel is formed nicely. And so that's that, and it kind of feels like the knife wants to stay there, and we call that being locked in. And I apologize, I'm probably going faster than you should. You want to get that locked in feeling, and again, follow the curve, lifting up, and then getting all the way to the point. So that's that stroke. Then the stroke with the edge going away from you is the same thing. Again, forefinger on the blade this time, thumb on the spine. Come up, find where the edge, come up onto the bevel, find where the edge meets the stone, and push. And again, you're working in sections. Use your opposite hand for stabilization and for pressure. And the idea with the pressure is to keep that bevel against, keep that bevel surface against the stone. So that's why you don't want to press too low, because you're really not trying to press at the edge. You're trying to press at the bevel to keep it flat against the stone, and so that you can ride that pathway as you work your way in sections along the edge. And so that's my suggestion, is to don't worry about the actual sharpening. Get to where this feels pretty natural on both sides, and then we'll figure out how to do that accurately. Another thing you want to in this mode, learn how to. You'll be doing this in sections, and so how do you smooth out the sections? The way to do that is to again find your bevel angle, find where the edge meets the stone, and then do a smooth stroke following that bevel along its entire length, in one smooth stroke. And you notice the knife, once I found the bevel, the knife is pretty much staying on that line. Okay, so I'm going through that quickly. Those are things that you want to practice. I'm going to pause the camera and go take care of some allergy issues here, but I'll be back. All right, so let's get sharpening. The first thing I would suggest is get yourself a Sharpie, and then learn to do the Sharpie trick. The Sharpie trick is to mark the bevel. Hopefully you can see that with the Sharpie along its entire length. By the way, Sharpie comes off with isopropyl alcohol. So no issues with that. I'll just do both sides while I'm at it. Here we go. And so the Sharpie trick is simply a way for you to determine if you're staying on the bevel and if you're getting all the way to the edge. And all you're doing, I'm letting this dry a little bit, all you're doing when you're going back to the strokes you just learned, and you're going slowly, and then you're going to inspect to see how you're doing. It's very useful. I actually used it when I was establishing this new bevel to make sure that as the bevel was growing, I was also maintaining contact all the way to the apex. All right, so let's see, are we reasonably straight? We are. All right, so I'm gonna start in here, and let's find our angle, find our bevel and our apex intersection, and we're gonna start. And all I'm doing is what I told you. I'm feeling that the bevel is hard against the stone. I'm doing that by both hands, and now I'm sharpening, or I have been sharpening in sections. I'm getting towards the toe here. I'm not pressing very hard because I want form to be at this. Until you get better at this, your form will break down the harder you press. So you want to first work on your form. And so that's what I'm showing you, going slowly to give you an idea of the kind of speed that you can use to enhance your feeling for what's happening on the stone. Okay, so we're really getting all the way to the tip here. So let's see how we're doing coverage-wise. All right, so I don't know whether you'll be able to see this or not, but the Sharpie is gone from the edge. You can see the Sharpie at the very top here of the bevel, but it's not. It's gone at the edge. And so now this is the burr method. So now what I'm going to do is see, did that sharpening in this direction cause a burr in this direction? And so I need to teach you how to feel the edge. So the way you find a burr is you ride your thumb down the blade and then across the edge at an angle. If you go just straight, you aren't going to feel it. You need to feel the edge, and you need to feel it slightly coming across the edge. So I do have a burr, and that's what I'm doing here. I do have a burr all the way from the heel, and the burr all the way from the heel to the toe. And then the other thing that you want to do is to get the idea, you can do this. I mean, this is surprising how good we are as humans at this. But you want that burr, when you feel it, you want the burr to feel as if it's the same size everywhere along the edge. And that tells you that you're abrading evenly on this side. So if I abrade evenly on this side, then I'll have an equal size burr on this side, and I do. If you find that you don't have, if you have a really strong burr here and you can't feel one at all here, then simply work on that section some more until they're even. All right, so now I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to spin the stone, just to enhance the idea to you that when you're doing one-hand sharpening or sharpening with your dominant hand, you don't want to stay on, you don't want to just do it on one side of the sharpening stone, because you'll just wear that side. So we want to try to get semi-even wear here. And so now I'm going to do what I did, use the other stroke. I'm going to use the stroke where I push the edge away, come up, find the bevel, hold that angle, use this hand to really make sure that that bevel is on the stone. Work in sections the same way I did. And now I'm coming to the curved section, so I'm going to really concentrate on staying on that bevel and following that bevel as I lift the knife. Work all the way to the tip. Stay right back on the bevel, come back, work again in sections. All the way to the tip. And let's see how we did. All right, so I have gotten all the way to the edge, but you can see that maybe here, maybe you can't see that, hopefully you can. Right towards the toe, right towards the tip, it looks like I could get a little flatter. So let's see what happens. That's cosmetic. I'm getting, the key thing here is that I'm getting to the apex. And you can hopefully see that there's no Sharpie at the very apex. There's Sharpie at the top of the bevel. So let's go here and let's keep it a little bit flatter and make sure that that whole bevel area is getting ground flat. So that you know, we have a nice even bevel to follow. Okay, and so that has let's see here. That has done that. So now I don't have Sharpie there. I don't know whether you can see it or not. Okay, now let's check for burr. That's the same thing. Slide the thumb down and across the edge. I have burr here. Nice small burr. Now, that's a small burr because I haven't done a lot of work, and I can feel that burr. You might not be able to. This is a small burr. I'll do a little more just to make sure that I'm moving it all at the same time. You know, moving that edge all equally. Because if anything, I'd say that the heel felt slightly smaller. And if you can't, you know, if it takes a while to develop the ability to feel the burr when it's small. So just keep going until you feel it. It'll feel like a little roll of metal that comes up from the edge. And where it's curved, go ahead and be slow. Make sure you can feel it. I'm doing this for your benefit. But you know, this is doing curves is tricky. Okay, let's see how we're doing burr-wise. Okay, definitely got bigger everywhere. Yep, got bigger everywhere. Maybe not quite right there. So I'm going to just do a little bit of attention. Note where my pressure is. It's right there on the heel. And I'm being nitpicky as usual. Okay, I have a very good burr there now. Okay, so now we have what you should do. So I've created a burr on both sides, and I'm about to show you how to deburr. You should probably flip that burr. We call flipping the burr. So I created a burr on this side, then I created a burr on this side, and I'm going to go, in interest of time, I'm going to deburr. What you should do is to, so I have the burr now on this side. You should, or rather on this side, I would then, to flip the burr, I would go back to this direction and create a burr on this side, go back to this direction, create a burr on this side again. So now you've flipped the burr twice. And that verifies to you that it's easy for you to, that you're getting all the way to the edge. You're getting to it evenly on both sides, and you're ready to move on if that's the case. So my next thing here is going to be stropping strokes on the stone. That's the next level of strokes for you, and the final level. So stropping strokes I do like this, where I put the tip down, do the same thing, find the bevel and where the apex meets the stone, and then slide it across the stone. Now you can do this where you set the tip down, find that angle, and then do it like this. You'll see a lot of sharpeners do this, because this ensures that it's a little easier to find the proper angle with a little bit more area on the stone, and then you really are pulling burr away with this motion, and then you just do a stroke across the stone. So you'll see a lot of us do that kind of thing where we do this. It's very easy. This is also for stropping, and it's very easy if you do this with a strop. It's very easy to bury the point into the strop. So that's another reason why you'll see a lot of knife sharpeners do this kind of thing. But all I'm doing is finding that angle, same angle, and then very lightly running it across the stone with a trailing edge motion. Notice that my motion is up the stone with the edge trailing the direction of the movement. Okay, so let's see if now I'm going to check for burr. Oops. dry it off. I tend to check things with the knife dry because, of course, that adds to the time. And everybody wants to take longer. All right, so now I'm not feeling any burr on this side, and I'm not feeling any burr on this side. So now the next thing to show you is how to feel the edge. And you do that. Thumb goes against the spine, and then 3 fingers come up to the edge, come up lightly, and then feel the edge. And what you're feeling for is sharpness. You will be amazed at how well you can feel the difference between a sharp edge and a dull edge. And what you do, don't slide your fingers. What you do is lift them off, move your hand, put them back, lift them off, move your hand. And what you're trying to feel is the same degree of sharpness all along the edge. Anywhere that you don't feel it to be the same, then you need to take care of that area. And again, remember, don't forget those normalizing, those smoothing strokes, which you didn't see me do much of. But this edge is pretty good. It is. We want it to be, we want everything, so this is the 400. We want all the geometry to be set on the 400. And then we'll just refine that on the 2000. All right, so let's do a cut test. Now, if this works properly, it's going to dig in at the heel easily, and then slide through in a slice cut through the paper. You want to use phone book paper or newsprint, something that's flimsy and doesn't have a lot of clay in it. So let's see if it cuts in. No, not too well. Oh, there we go. So cut in at the heel, slide through all the way. And for 400, that's fine. That's all I need. It's a nice slide through the paper. So let's move to the 2000. I'll pause you while I clean up a little bit and then bring you back. Okay. You should be using a lot of Sharpie. I'm not, but you know, when you're first getting started, you want that information on how you're working as often as possible. So use a lot of Sharpie, and you'll find that through time you're going to get the feel of this pretty quickly. At first, it can be frustrating at first because we all wobble. Wobbling in this direction, wobbling in this direction. And through time, what'll happen is you'll learn sort of how to wobble with style, and then your technique of holding this angle will get better. I'm going at about half, maybe 3/4 speed here. You should go more slowly. I'm conscious of my always long YouTube videos. Which, by the way, I thank you so much for watching these things. I love all the comments that I've gotten from everyone. Martin of Martin's Shave Tests. I'm so surprised he's interested in these, but I do appreciate all of his comments and good nature. And all the questions have been really good. All right, so let's see. Have we raised a burr? Not much of one. Yeah, there's a little burr coming. I should dry it off. See, I'm already breaking my own rules. I'd say there is a little burr there. But let's do a little more. As with razors, the heel tends to get overlooked. because of doing it in sections, right? We tend to start here and then immediately move more towards the center of the blade. I don't know why that is. It's sort of common for all of us. Because you'll see a lot of knife sharpeners, myself included, have to go back and deal with the heel. I'm slowing down to give you the idea that you should slow down in this section so that as you're raising this, you can really feel it coming, transitioning along the bevel all the way up. Okay? Okay. Yes, that has raised a very nice burr. And so we're done on that side. Let's spin the stone so that we get a chance to wear the other side. So I'm removing the burr on this side and creating a burr on this side with this motion. Once again, starting to go too fast. It's not teaching you anything. In terms of form, you want to keep your wrist solid on both strokes, both this stroke and the stroke where you pull the edge towards you. Generally, the lifting up here is done at the shoulder and elbow. And then as usual, you really want to feel like that bevel will eventually, and this is what you want to be really working towards, the feeling that you almost can't get off that bevel, that it's very, very solid. Okay, let's see if we've... First thing to do we have a burr anywhere left on this side? The answer is no. How about on this side? Have we created anything? And the answer is no. A little bit, but I think we're going to work some more on this. We need to work some more on this. It's spring here, so I need to go deal with the allergies. I'll be right back. Okay, let's make sure we're really getting on the bevel, getting that edge. Now you can tell from the way things are moving that I do have, so look at how the swarf moves. So that's another indication that you are getting the edge all the way onto the stone, getting the apex all the way onto the stone. Given that an edge is two bevels and an apex, I should be a little bit more specific, but I tend to always say the edge. Okay, let's check again. Okay, there we go. Tiny little bevel, tiny bevels. Nice, nice. I mean, tiny burr. None left on this side, which is what we want. Okay, so let's do some deburring. Get rid of the Jackson Pollock that's created on the stone. And go and do the deburring strokes, stropping strokes on the stone. For the next step here, assuming that I don't have to go back and recreate an edge, the next step is going to be to actually strop the knife, and then we'll be done. I'm sure there will be questions. Feel free. I'm just giving you an introduction. Again, this is easy, but it's a skill. And once you have the skill, you know, it's just practice. Once you have that skill, then you have it for the lifetime. And you know, as you get older, you'll be so happy that you can just take care of this. And what you'll find is that you can really, over time, you can create some pretty stunningly sharp edges given the right steel. And you'll probably end up moving away from these introductory combo stones and onto something else, so you can sell your stones to another beginner. Very light. I'm just resting the bevel on the stone, letting the stone take any poorly adhered bits of steel away from the apex. Okay, let's check. Okay, I'm not feeling any burr. Maybe a little bit there. Maybe a little bit. Let's yep, I got it. And when I say a little bit, it takes a while to really. We're amazing. Humans are amazing with our sense of touch, and this will, you know, once you sort of glom on to how to do this, you'll be amazed at how you can feel the progression of the edge. Okay, I flipped the burr. Yeah, so that I now have a burr that I'm flipping back and forth, and so I need to break that off. And this is me being OCD, right? So I'm feeling tiny, tiny bits of metal here that I'm correcting. All right, so I'm feeling things very good on that side, very good on this side. Let's test. Do I have to get a new piece of paper? There we go. Okay, we want it to cut in. Cut in at the heel, which it did, and then slice through very smoothly all the way, oops, falling over, all the way to the tip. So maybe the tip's got an issue. That should be smooth. There we go. All right, so the next step is going to be, by the way, it's tons of fun to do this. The next step is going to be stropping. So I'm going to get set up. I'll pause the video, get set up, and I'll be right back. Okay, the final step is stropping. I have a horsehide strop that's loaded with some diamond emulsion. I know it's a 0.75 micron. I don't know whether it's actually an emulsion or a spray or a paste, but it's on there. I think it's easiest to have a bench strop for doing knives. Obviously, you're going to have a hanging strop for razors, but you can cut denim and put the green chromium oxide paste on this, or use the chromium oxide crayon on this, or you can go and get, hang on, some wheel polish and put that on here. I have a denim strop somewhere that has this Mother's Mag wheel polish on it, but it's been so long since I used it, I can't find it. So you can use denim. If you use a pair of jeans, make sure you wash them. You don't want dirt in there. Another option is to go get a piece of balsa wood and then make sure it's flat, and then put some paste of some sort on that. And those are both very inexpensive things to do to create a bench strop. And then the only other thing you have to worry about is getting it to the proper height. And then for stropping, you do the exact same strokes that you did on the stone. And you're, again, no pressure, just running the intersection of the apex with the strop, just running that across the strop, having the edge trail the motion. And you'll find that the little bit of abrasive really helps. With knife sharpening, that edge tends to not be super clean. And this really does a good job of cleaning it. And so how much do you do of any of this stuff? And the answer to that is you don't see me stopping, mainly because I don't want, a 2-hour video. But you can stop, check the edge. I somehow picked up a little water here, but check the edge, make sure that you have no burr, and then check sharpness. Make sure that you have good sharpness everywhere, and I do. Maybe not such good sharpness right there. And I'm not sharpening here. What I'm hoping is that I'm going to correct a little burr that is there. Yeah. Okay, so now let's test. Do the same thing we did before. Make sure that the heel cuts in, and then the whole knife slices through smoothly. And hopefully, I bet you didn't see that. Let me try that again. Sorry, it's falling. It's difficult to do. Let me get a nice clean shot at this. Oh, this is hard to do. It's hard to do for the camera. There you go. You hopefully saw that. So it's nice and smooth now. Nice and smooth for the whole blade. It's really difficult to do this for the camera. I apologize. Okay, and that's it. And now you have a knife that's been restored for use. You go use it, you beat it up, and then you bring it back to the stones whenever you need to. And so you have a way now of maintaining your kitchen knives. Thanks for watching. Feel free to ask questions. This was unrehearsed, unplanned, so I'm sure I have a lot of gaps in information. Thanks again. Bye.